What is up, everyone? Guys, listen up. In this video, I want to talk about the latest Warbond, which is the Servants of Freedom. At this point, I've had more than enough time with this Warbond to discuss it, and also we've had a update that made some drastic changes to the weapons of the Warbond. So I'm kind of happy I didn't put out this video before. I checked out the update. I checked out all the changes. We tested all the changes pretty much against all enemies and whatnot. So I'm gonna go over my thoughts about this Warbond, and I'm gonna give you guys my honest opinion if you should buy this Warbond, if it is worth your time and your money. So let's go ahead and get right into it. The first weapon that we're going to talk about is the last 17 double-edged sickle. So essentially, this weapon, for all the people that don't know, has a very specific kind of playstyle, right? So what it does is it has a heat up system and it overheats. However, it's not exactly like the previous sickle. It has a different kind of threshold for overheating and it increases damage. So when the weapon first came out, the way it worked was it had pretty much medium armor penetration from the beginning. So you would start up the weapon. Now, there were a few times where the first few bullets would ricochet, but I don't know if that was intended, if that was a bug. I have no clue. But essentially, most of the time when you would start shooting the weapon, it would just go through medium armor normally. And that is exactly what people really enjoyed about this gun. With the changes, though, that's not how it works anymore. After the Warbond dropped, just a few days later, what they did was they changed that. Now it's going to be only light armor penetrating until you hit around 25% on that heat up for the weapon. And after 25% to like 90%, you are going to have medium armor penetration. But another change they did was that after 91%, they added AP4, which means you can go through armor against enemies like chargers, hulks, and so on. As for my thoughts on the weapon itself and the changes, I do understand why people are going to be frustrated, obviously, because they just had a weapon that was medium armor pen. It felt good. The ammo economy was great, something that the game is lacking a lot. And what I mean by that is there's no really good, reliable ARs within the game. And this weapon just, showcased that even more, because that's why people are upset. They pretty much had the best AR in the game with medium armor pen, right? So this is what I would do. I think that the AP4 addition to the game at the higher end, above 91%, is pretty cool. And I also do believe that they should lower the 25% you need to get to in order to become medium pen to probably 10%. Another thing to point out when it comes to this weapon is that even though I personally really enjoy building into weapons and creating awesome setups around a specific weapon and making it as powerful as possible, I do think that this weapon just needs a lot of building into in general. So you need to use the fire armor, you need to use the right booster, and then, if you really want to kind of push it, you also have to be prone, all of those things. And on top of that, you need to be spamming stims if you are going to be playing above that 91%. And it damages you like crazy as well. So there's definitely a payoff there. Like, if you do not put on that armor, you're getting cooked up. Like, you will die once you start burning, unless you just dive or stim all the time, right? So there is a payoff. Now, once again, the AP4, in my opinion, is great. It does mean that you're going to be destroying hulks. You're going to be taking out chargers, bile titans, all that kind of stuff. And if you are building into it, the weapon's just going to feel good. And if you do go for it and build around it, you can make use of that AP4 really consistently. I think that was a great idea. I think it's a risk reward if you want to go for that AP4 and have the ability to melt down, hulks and chargers and whatnot. You should have the ability to do that. If you don't want to do that, then just use it as a medium pen weapon. Next weapon we're going to be talking about is the ultimatum. Watch this.
Pips, we spraying this Bile Titan.
Oh!
Never mind.
Now, we got to be honest with this weapon. This is the most insane weapon they've added to the game. Please understand, this is a secondary weapon. It is in the same slot as your pistol or your melee stuff, yet it does 4,500 damage, and it can one-shot a Bile Titan. It can destroy a tripod. It can one-shot chargers, impalers, just pretty much anything within the game. It can absolutely delete It is very, very, very strong. Now, initially, when this weapon dropped, you could, with the help of some armor and boosters, you could have it so that every time you would get into a mission, you would directly have 3 shots, and you could have up to 3 shots in general. Now, they said, you know what? That might be a little too much, because 3 shots of a weapon that is essentially a red stratagem in your pocket, like a 500 kg or a precision strike, that might be a little bit too much. So they toned that down, and now you can only have up to 2 shots. So you can shoot one, you're going to reload, you're going to shoot one, and now you have to find ammo around the map or resupply. Don't get me wrong. Would I like to still have 3 shots? Absolutely. The second I used this weapon for the first time, and that was when we're traveling to Arrowhead Studios. I was in the hotel. We hadn't been to the studio yet. I was able to unlock this, use this, and I told the boys right away, this thing is cracked. They're most likely gonna make a change. And back then, I didn't even know you could go up to 3 shots. And my thought process was they're probably gonna drop this down from 2 to 1 shot total. And then you have to find ammo, because a secondary weapon that can one-shot everything in the game is pretty wild. And the explosion radius is there as well. I do think that the change of this weapon, which is brought down from 3 to 2, in my head, in my opinion, is less surprising than the changes that they made to the sickle. But overall, is this weapon still good? Absolutely. It is 100%, without a doubt, still the strongest secondary weapon in the game, and nothing will ever come close. At the moment, there is nothing that can compete. It's just not. There's not. Okay? It's not even remotely close. So it is going to become one of those items that you want to have in order to have essentially 2 red stratagems in your pocket that you can use at any time and delete any enemies in front of you, right? And it's super fun to kind of get used to it and figure out how it drops far away so you can land some insane shots. When it comes to the armor perk on this Warbond, which is the integrated explosives, armor explodes 1.5 seconds after the wearer dies. Is it a game changer? No. Is it the best perk in the game? No. Is it a reason why you should buy this Warbond? No. All of those answers are going to be no. Is it extremely strong? Once again, no, it's really not. Is it a cool idea? Yes. Do you want to roleplay some stuff and have fun with it and go crazy as a Helldiver? Then grab it. I personally, I'm never going to be using this. I feel like there's tons of armor that is 10 times better. So if I'm playing at the highest difficulty, there is 0 reason for me to run this armor. Medical 6 stims, peak physique, and many, many others that just make this one useless when it comes to competitiveness on the highest level. So 100%, this is not going to be a reason for you to pick up this Warbond. When it comes to the helmets and the visuals, I feel like they're really cool. This one, in my opinion, looks great. And this one also looks incredible as well. So if that is something that you like, you can always pick up the Warbond for that as well. Now let's talk about the Seeker bombs, okay? So the idea of these bombs is incredibly cool, right? It really is. And a lot of the time it works, but a lot of the times it's kind of clunky. Even if you mark it or don't mark it, it just doesn't act accordingly sometimes. But overall, I do think that the idea of it is really cool. If they can kind of pinpoint and fix a few issues with the item, this could feel 10 times better. And I think it would become a fan favorite down the line. That said, another thing that I think really makes it hard for me to pick up these grenades is that stun grenades and gas grenades exist. And I personally like having crowd control abilities on my character, and stun grenade and gas grenade are both incredible at that. Not only just to crowd control, but that also directly increases your survivability because your enemies are confused, running around like idiots, and you're just chilling and having a good time and not worrying about anything. So it's a hard pick for me, even though I think that it's really, really fun and the idea is great. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that this is going to be one of the reasons you're going to be buying this Warbond for. The other 2 weapons that I discussed, yes, both of them could easily be a reason to buy this Warbond. Next one on the list is going to be the portable hell bomb. And it is what you hear it is. It is a portable hell bomb. Now, it is a lot of fun and it is very strong. The cooldown is 300 seconds for this one. I do feel like if the cooldown was a little bit lower, it would be better, but the effect it has on overall the battlefield and across the board on the missions is pretty wild. If you do use this strategically, you can take out some crazy mission points, and overall it will make your runs easier. Now, something to keep in mind is that it does take up the backpack slot. So if you're struggling with survivability, you're not going to be able to use the shield. If you want to use one of the rovers, which currently my favorite rover in the game when I'm playing against the bugs is the gas rover, it also eliminates that. So there is a payoff here. Do you want to have a hell bomb and run around and drop it, have a cool disposable and not worry about it and destroy bases? There you go. That's a great option. Now, when it comes to the fun factor of it, probably one of the most fun items within the game, because your friends can also activate this while this thing is on your back. And that right there, ladies and gents, is true Helldivers 2. Okay, that's what it is. That's the nature of the game. That's why this game is so much fun. That's why so many people fell in love with this game. So it is an incredible addition. And the fact that they thought of that they let you press it while this thing is on the back of your friend, is what makes this game so unique. And it just tells you how cool and how much fun you can have with items like this within the game. If I was to tell you which items would be the biggest reason to buy this Warbond, number one would be the ultimatum, because this is currently the best secondary weapon in the game, hands down, when it comes to massive single target damage, and taking out those toughest targets in the game is something that you're just always going to be utilizing. So number one is the ultimatum. Number two, the weapon sickle. Reason number three would be the hell bomb. It's a unique and incredible item, and then it would be the grenade, and then it would be the armor. So overall, what do I think about this Warbond? I think that the secondary weapon completely changes build crafting in Helldivers 2. Let me give you an example. If I used to run one of my favorite support weapons, which is the arc thrower, I had to worry about the bigger targets, and I had to go for the 500 kg and probably the orbital laser as well, or a precision strike, to be sure that I'd be able to take out, for example, Bile Titans. However, now that we have this secondary weapon, I just slap this on, arc thrower, 500 kg, and I'm good to go. I'm not worried about anything. You can slap on a supply pack as well, and now you are just vibing. You always have more than enough ammo for the secondary to just grab it, and whenever you need that massive damage and you're surrounded by impalers or Bile Titans, you drop those 500 kgs, you swap to your secondary, and you destroy these tough targets around you. So it opened up and made support weapons like the arc thrower much better, much reliable, much consistent. So yes, this item is a complete game changer when it comes to build crafting and loadouts in general. Also, why this Warbond is so unique is that it has the most unique items that they've introduced in a while. Once again, the secondary, that is insane. You have a primary weapon that has a really cool mechanic to it, burns you, right? But then it increases damage and armor penetration. You have the Hell Bomb, which is another really cool, fun, new and unique item that is added to the game, and a flying grenade that tracks your enemies. And even though it's pretty clunky in terms of the thought process and imagination behind it, it's pretty unique. So if you have all these Warbonds and you're thinking to yourself, is this one worth my money? The answer is yes. Those are just my thoughts about this new Warbond. Make sure to let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I appreciate every single one of you for all the love and support. I'm going to be dropping more and more content for Helldivers 2. If you guys did enjoy the video, and only if you did, slap the like, sub to the channel. As always, stay positive, stay disciplined, and I'll see you all on the next one.